All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me again. My second interview today. Going a little off the grain, going with football today. Coach Steve Fence with New Egypt football. Thank you for joining me.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
A few things, a lot of things we want to go over. First, before we start talking about New Egypt football, when did you start coaching?
Oh man, I don't want to give away my age, but it wasn't in the 2000s. Let's just say that. 1999 was my first year coaching at Manchester Township. I coached at Manchester from '99 to 2013. I was the offensive coordinator there from 2007 to 2013. When that concluded, I took a trip over to Barnegat and coached with Coach Davis and some really great guys over there. Coached there for 2 years before I went in 2016 to New Egypt and became the head coach at New Egypt, and I've been the head coach at New Egypt since 2016.
I was trying to figure out how long we've known each other. It has to be around 15 years now.
Yeah,
I would think so.
A long time.
We were in that fantasy football league.
Yeah, I had a better hairline and a better waistline.
I wonder if that league is still going on.
Oh yeah, I'm still in it.
Oh, you're still in it?
Absolutely.
That was one of the most unique fantasy football leagues I've ever been in. 16 teams, no snake draft.
Yeah, it's
a ton of keepers. You kept defensive players, offensive players.
It's different. It's definitely different. And, it's the good old boys and been in that league forever.
Yeah. It's funny because Adam, the one who, asked me to partner up with him, he texted me this morning asking me if I was he does a fundraiser, Super Bowl, box pool for the season for his son's soccer team.
Oh, that's awesome.
He texted me. He goes, "Are you signing up? There's only a couple boxes left." So I haven't seen him in forever either.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So what made you get into coaching?
Oh, great question. Just the love of what high school football did for me as an athlete in high school, and I always loved the game. It was always a part of me, and I wanted to give back. Actually, I wasn't in education when I started coaching and got into education through coaching, which was easily probably the best decision I've ever made in my life, other than marrying my wife. So we got into coaching. I volunteered for the first couple of years for Doug Covert, and Doug is actually the superintendent out in Keensburg right now, and volunteered for him. And then I coached for after Dougie left, I coached for Rob Panacue at Manchester. Rob is a great guy. He's currently the AD of both Jackson school districts, so he's the athletic director at Jackson. So I had a chance to coach with him. And then Gerard O'Donnell took over for him, and that's when I became the offensive coordinator. And Gerard was great and gave me a lot of freedom to explore and really learn offenses because I'm an offensive guy. Being the head coach, you're the guy, but I run the offense and always have run the offense. So when that concluded, I left and went to Barnegat. I coached with Coach Davis, who just is a great inspiration and a great marketer for his athletes, his student athletes. He's a great X and O guy. He was great to learn how to run a program from. And then I ventured off into my own. And, being a head coach is challenging from all the challenges that are going on today, and being able to do everything. And, my head is spinning sometimes, but it's just awesome. It's a great experience. It's great to be involved with student athletes and see the difference that you make in their lives, and to have communication. I've been there long enough now to go see some kids that I've coached play in college and see what they're doing in their lives. And that's why you do this. I mean, we don't make a ton of money, but you do it for the connections, and you do it because you love the sport. And I have the opportunity to do that, which I'm blessed for.
It's funny you said that, you got into teaching, through coaching. When I interviewed Coach Caruso for Brick Memorial Soccer, he said the same exact thing, coaching, and that brought him into teaching, and he loved the decision he made. Getting into that.
Wouldn't change it at all.
Now you find, I find the coaches, coaching and teaching, a lot of similarities, in the both. Do you find that?
Absolutely. The field is an extension of the classroom. The main difference with the field compared to the classroom is that you usually have kids that want to be there. Sometimes in class you have those kids who are there and just there, and you got to find a way to motivate them and keep them involved and engaged in class. Where in the field, most kids are engaged and want to be there. So a little bit of a difference, but you always have your challenges. Finding ways to motivate kids is a unique thing, especially nowadays when everybody's into sports specialization, and kids find more value in club soccer and AAU basketball and all that stuff. It's a little bit of tough time to find the value in high school sports. I coach girls basketball as well, as you know, and I was a 5-day track coach this past spring for the first time until COVID hit. So I'm not going to speak on track, but football's unique because football doesn't have that club aspect. Football is, you do camps and clinics and you get noticed there and you get put in front of college coaches there. But there's nothing like a Friday night lights in front of your hometown, competing in front of your friends. And New Egypt is a special place for that. My wife often says the atmosphere there is one of the best that she's ever seen in high school football. And it's just a great, I'm crazy on the sideline on Friday nights and probably an embarrassment to a point. but you get riled up and you'll never lose that feeling of competitiveness and camaraderie and just being together. Our theme last year was OCG, which stood for One Common Goal. Because we have different kids, different types of kids in our locker room. So, what we try to do is all come together to compete. We were very young last year. We had a very young team. We'll speak about that later. That's a makeup of my team. But it's such a rewarding job.
Yeah, and you brought up with club soccer, AAU basketball. When I was talking to one of the soccer coaches, he brought up the football aspect that, football doesn't have that. So, the students, the teams, have a closer bond and, similar, like that, where the best soccer players are playing academy and they want to play high school, but the academy team won't let them. And,
right. That just happened in Manasquan, I believe. One of the better boys players.
that just came out. Now the girls academies are letting them play now, so that's good, because I know a lot of schools are getting a couple of their players back. But the boys, and from my understanding, it's MLS runs that boys academy, and they're the ones that put the foot down. Okay. But football doesn't have that. Basketball, you got AAU. I mean, they let them play high school basketball, but there's AAU seems to be bigger than high school basketball these days than it was. And football is just, it's high school football, and that's, college coaches watch. And
as a high school coach, my challenge, I mean, you're always going to have your sports specific guys. Like I have my football guys and they're core football guys. They eat, live and die football. But it's the tweener guys that you tend to separate yourself from other teams with, the guys who are your role players. Mm-hmm. Every team has their top tier guys, but it's tougher to find those tweener guys to commit and be a part of that culture. We get into such sports specialization where kids are, one sport athletes and while I understand why it happens, I don't totally agree with it, because I really think, you learn to become an athlete through competition and competing with other people and other teams and learning how to coexist on a team. I do get it. I mean, I understand that if you want to excel in a sport, you have to do it 24/7. But at the end of the day, you also want to be able to compete with your friends. And, I've done it a long time, and I hear so many kids think they're getting scholarships or offers and things like that. And it happens a lot less than people think.
Yeah. How much, I'm involved with the girls basketball, and it's right. A lot of kids, got to be D1. Your goal should be, if you get a free education, D1, 2, or 3, you take advantage of it. You don't have to, all the schools.
100%.
Now, moving, into New Egypt. Now, me and you have spoken a lot about this over the summer, whether it's going to be a football season. 1 week you told me 99% no, there's not going to be football. 2 weeks later, I saw you at the basketball league. You said 99%, yeah, football's going to be a go. Then the state comes out with their phases. It looks like everything's good, and then New Egypt drops the thing that they're not going to be participating in fall, and then that, they reversed their decision. Now, as a coach, what was your mindset? What were you thinking, as these months were going by and, it was going back and forth?
So I'll go back to March when obviously everything changed. So going back to March, my first thought as a football coach, we already had our preseason interest meeting. So I knew we already had a Google Classroom set up and we had our core group of guys that I knew. My thing was I wanted this to unite us. So I wanted to be able to come together and be a team, although nobody was together because they didn't have socialization with their friends. They didn't have class together. Everybody was quarantined. So we did Google Meets. We talked about football. We watched old game films. We even did an online Madden tournament where we let the kids compete. I even played and lost in the first round. Our trainer participated who, we just have great people in New Egypt, which is awesome. So we just tried to keep the kids interested in moving along. We were like, okay, let's get ready for 7-on-7 season, which is in June, and everything was still shut down, and the state had everything shut down. And we looked to move to phase 1, and it's just a crazy time. Our district, I think, erred on the side of caution and didn't want to risk anything, and I 100% respect that. Mm-hmm. So as things moved on, we just kind of held back, and as things. Football went on and they announced their football plans. New Egypt decided, with a number of schools out in West Jersey, schools like Princeton and West Windsor, decided to not partake in football. And that obviously is a blow to your kids, right? Yeah. You have senior athletes who everything's important to. And, our team has been very young, and we only graduated 4 seniors. So for a football team, that's phenomenal. So we return a great senior class and a great junior class, and our sophomores are going to be good. So our challenge was to keep them involved. So, if you saw my Google Classroom, there's probably 70 hours of meets and films that are recorded. So we tried to stay engaged that way. When things went bad, we tried to stay together as much as we could and talk. And my district and my athletic director gave it some thought, and my superintendent gave it some thought, and the Board of Education gave it some thought, and to give them all the credit in the world, they reversed their decision as information came out, and they were in communication with the state. So I'm really thrilled with the decision that they that they're following the state guidelines. It's just a crazy time. No one knows where to go, what to do. And erring on the side of caution isn't the worst thing in the world. I get it. It's student safety first, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, I'm torn both ways. I do understand. Superintendents are being put in these tough positions.
Right.
I said to a few coaches, you would think the public schools, the state would have outlined a standard for the public schools instead of leaving each district. Whether virtual learning, Monday, Tuesday, no school Wednesday, rotating, every district's different. And you would think, this is just my opinion, that the state would have came up with a universal plan, for all the public schools to follow. And, they're leaving it on the superintendent, the principals, the ADs, and, putting them in the tough spot to make the decision for the kids, right. And it makes them either look, bad if you're somebody that really wants to play, or on the flip side, if you are playing as somebody that or going back to school and a parent that doesn't think it's safe, you're gonna get yelled at from the flip side. So they're in a no-win situation.
It's a no-win situation, and when you're in that situation, I wouldn't want to be in that situation. I'll never go into administration. I don't want it. I want the kid contact. I don't want to be that guy who doesn't have contact with the kids so much, but. Yeah, I don't envy what they had to go through, and the parent feedback and the kid feedback and the state feedback and the reporters feedback. Like, it is what it is. You've got to make a decision based on what you think is best, and that decision could and should be changed if information changes.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that we thought about it and went back was important to my kids, and they're excited to get going. We get going tomorrow, which is nice. It's an exciting time. But we got about 10 days or so until maybe 15 days, I don't even know, to our first scrimmage, which is against our rival who we don't play, and Florence, and Coach Rapoli, who I think he's got 785 million wins. But we look forward to scrimmaging against them and playing our away opener against Palmyra, who's a great rival. We're 2-2 with them over the last 4 years. So it's a great rivalry, and that's what high school sports is about. You always compete for a championship and state playoff berths and things like that while they're important. Not every team wins them. So and I think they came out today and said that the state playoffs are just going to be like consolation games for the state, which is totally fine with me because we have our built-in rivalries and we play to compete, and whatever we get at this point is extra because we thought it was taken away.
Yeah. Now I think New Egypt was the first school I think that reversed. Right.
We were
a couple schools after that. I know,
Yeah.
Like the Trenton area, right? Trenton,
a lot of Mercer County schools. New Egypt's in that weird place where they're in the corner of Ocean, Monmouth, and Mercer County. So like we're in the middle, and it's the absolute socially distant town.
Yeah. When I went to the one basketball game, I was like, "Where is this? Where am I right now?"
Yeah, it's funny.
Middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere.
Let's last season, we talk all throughout the season and stuff. You told me all season you were telling me you got a young team. What were some accomplishments you guys had last season?
We never quit, and we continue to get better and better each week. As a coach and as an experienced coach, I saw it, and I saw it through the mistakes that we made in the beginning. We started 3 sophomores on our offensive line, and we started a sophomore quarterback. We started a sophomore running back that was coming off of a horrific leg injury in June and didn't play till week 4. In our senior class, we had a 1 all-conference kid and a 1 all-division kid, and other than that, we had a first-year senior that played. So one of the 4 kids that graduated was a first-year senior. So we knew that our base was young and very, very good, and it was fun to see them progress. And you just saw them through week 1 when our schedule was kind of front-loaded to where our tougher opponents were in the beginning of the year, and you just saw them grow and not quit and continue to play. And by the end of the year, we were beating people up. Second half of Florence, we outscored them, even though we lost a close game. We moved on, and we played Riverside and won, and we played we played Bordentown and won and shut them out, and we just got better, and that put a fire in the kids, and they have worked like you haven't ever seen kids work in the off season. A group of 6-8 kids, which doesn't sound like many, but in a Group 1 school, you get 6-8 kids that are just concentrating on football. That's all that they care about, and they are ready to go.
Yeah, Group 1 schools. Some schools must find it tough to even field a football team. Those are pretty small schools.
Yeah, we have 390 kids, 400 kids in school, and divide that in half. So you got 200 boys. Out of 200 boys, you have a cross-country team and a soccer team and kids that don't play sports. So now you're trying to find 35 kids is a challenge.
I forgot what I was going to ask. So the fact that you have such a young team, last year sophomore, sound like sophomore. Oh, that's what I was going to. You only had 4 seniors, you said, right? That's very rare you hear that, for football, 4 seniors. So the outlook for the next couple seasons are definitely good. Who is the quarterback and your running back?
The quarterback is going to be Jack Kudrick. Jack is got some time as a freshman. Played pretty much every game last year except the 2 because of injury, and we were quite injured last year. But Jack in 8 games had over 1,000 all-purpose yards between rushing and passing, and he's made huge strides. When he came in as a freshman, I think he was 5'6", 5'7", and getting some time. I think he's a good 6'1" now. So he's a threat on the ground, and he's a threat to throw the ball. We got our running back is a tremendous basketball player, great AAU basketball player, great. He's already been featured on SportsCenter for hitting a half-court shot.
That buzzer beater, I remember that.
Yeah, I think he's got 800 points in his first 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he's a pretty good kid. But like I said, he got in June at a 7-on-7 at Monmouth. He snapped his leg. and he got surgery. He was in the hospital for 4 days, and they originally told us he wasn't going to play football, maybe even basketball for his sophomore season.
Oh, that's some recovery then.
Yeah, so he actually came back week 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he wasn't the same kid early on in the year.
Yeah.
But again, that growth that we talked about, you just saw him developing. And he was honest. He's like, listen, try to run me to one side because I don't feel comfortable cutting off this ankle yet. So, and he made it through the year, and I'm excited to see him because he's got a vision like few I've coached ever. Maybe not the fastest kid in the world, but his vision is unbelievable. So I think he rushed for close to 600 yards in 6 games last year. Last 2 games, I think he had like 370 yards and a bunch of touchdowns. We're pretty good on the offensive line. We returned 3 returning starters, including a center, a guard, and a tackle. All are 2-year starters. Freshman and sophomore year they started, so they're going to be juniors. So it's their 3rd year of varsity football. So we're excited about our aspects of running the football a little bit. And our wide receiver crew is great. We have a senior in Johnny Percadani who works his tail off, going to camps and clinics, and I've had a chance to see him in the off season, and he's improved tremendously. We have another kid, Jacob Kramer, who scored a huge touchdown for us against Florence last year. He's a great baseball player, but he's also a very good football player. And then we have a kid who's extremely fast, who we got halfway through last year, had some catches at the end of the year, in Solomon Oliver, who's just lightning. If the teams are going to cover him one-on-one, we're going to take that matchup all day. He's just fast, and he's got good hands. So he's not a true football kid in the fact that he didn't play all 4 years, but he came through halfway through his junior year, and he's like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. and he's pretty good at it. So, if teams want to defend us and put 8 in the box to stop our quarterback and running back, we run our quarterback a lot. We're going to be able to throw teams out of that, which we didn't have the ability to do early last year. So teams are going to have to defend the whole field, and that's exciting for us because that's what the offense is based on doing. And, we're excited.
How about the defensive side of the ball? How are you looking there?
We returned 8 out of 11.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Including our entire secondary, our entire linebacking crew. We have a great nose tackle who's going to be an all-conference kid in Brian Morath, who's a great nose tackle. He's impossible to block unless you double team. He forces double teams. And we have a legit, and when I say legit, he's probably 6'2", 240. I just put some information up on my Twitter account, the New Egypt Twitter account, who's Ashton Sempervive, who is a college-level defensive end. Without a doubt, he'll be playing college football.
What grade is he in?
He's a junior as well.
Oh, so your junior class is loaded.
Yeah, we're strong. We're very strong. Yeah.
Let's go through the schedule now. It's 6 games, right? Regular season games.
That's correct. 6.
So let's just I don't know your conference and your division that well. If it was a short,
no, I didn't either when I got there.
just go through the schedule real quick and
Sure.
Talk about some of your opponents.
So we open up with Palmyra. Tough game. Palmyra's, like I said, we've been 2-2 against them. The game always comes down to the end of the game. We lost. They scored with about 2 minutes left in the game. We had a 17-0 lead, and we just made some young kid mistakes. We gave up a fake punt last year. We wound up losing 21-17. But they were senior heavy. They lost some kids. So I'm excited to play them and get back at them and compete against them because, it's a great rivalry. We then go to we play Riverside, who we've played, and we've had some success against Riverside. We beat Riverside 24-14 last year. So I'm excited to play them, and that's our home opener on October 9th. Then we play at Holy Cross. I think it's the 16th, which I've never beaten Holy Cross because they recruit and they have a little bit of an advantage.
Those private schools.
Did I say that? But I'm excited to play them on the road. That's one of our tougher games, to be honest. Palmyra and Holy Cross. They're all tough, but Holy Cross is one of our tougher ones. Then the following Saturday, I believe we have Princeton. I'm just going off the top of my head. And Princeton would be on the road. Group 4 school playing a Group 1 school. But they've struggled in the past. But I anticipate, Group 1 school versus Group 4 school should be a close game. So I anticipate that. And then we would have Robbinsville, we're 2-2 against, a good friend of mine. Coach Patterson is a great guy, and we've had great rivalries. I've coached with him in all-star games and stuff, and we're 2-2 against them. And then we play those 2 state games, and then we play Bordentown the night before Thanksgiving. And I'm announcing that here. No one knows. So it's traditionally a Thanksgiving game that we move to the night before Thanksgiving.
Okay. Who's your biggest rivalry?
Usually, our division just changed, and they changed the schedule for COVID. Usually teams like Florence, teams like Riverside, teams like Palmyra, those are our biggest challenges. Our schedule was set to be a lot different this year. We were going to play Pinelands because I love playing shore teams. Our preseason in a normal year would be against all shore conference teams because I love shore conference football. And I think all those shore conference teams are really well coached. So we were supposed to play Pinelands and Coach Fuller this year. He does a great job. But our true rival is Bordentown. That's who we play for Thanksgiving every year. And I think we lead the series by a game or 2, but it's always a competitive game, or usually a competitive game.
So who does Emily root for when you play Pinelands in the preseason? When
Emily's allowed to root for whoever she wants, as long as it's New Egypt. I told her I had to sit down and talk with her because she's a senior, and she's very dedicated to my program, and she comes to all my games. I said, if you want to go to some Pinelands games this year, Dad's going to understand a little bit, and I think that's important for her to be a part of her school culture. And she does a lot of great things there. Plays volleyball and plays basketball, and I think it's important for her to get to some games there.
It's going to be tough. Volleyball right after basketball season.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Literally like the next day.
It's going to be a challenge. I'm not hating it because I'll actually get to see her a little more.
Yeah. Because you coaching girls basketball, you don't get to all her games, do you?
Like my basketball coach Jay Corby is great with it. If I say, "Listen, I'm going to here," he's like, "Okay, go. Yeah. You're fine." He understands that this only happens once, and he's very understanding of that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially her senior year, you want to be there.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Talk NFL a little bit. Who's your prediction for tonight?
Well, I have Pat Mahomes on my fantasy team, so I have to say the Chiefs. But I really think that Houston might surprise them a little bit. I think,
that's what everyone's saying,
I'm just happy to watch it, man. We're a big tennis family too. My wife is a huge tennis family, and Serena's playing tonight, so we're going to be flipping the channels back and forth.
Yeah, I love the U.S. Open. Love it.
We've been.
What do you think about Dvorak getting the?
Oh, we watched it. It was crazy. It was crazy, but the rules are the rules, and they enforce the rule correctly. And I actually coached. I was a head tennis coach in Manchester for some years, and
oh wow,
I missed it. I missed it a lot. I love tennis.
That was my sport in high school, tennis.
Was it?
Yeah,
I love tennis. It's probably my second favorite sport because it's just so individualistic, and I'm good with rackets. I'm good at ping pong. I'm good at tennis. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, so we'll have to get out on the tennis court.
Oh, I would love that.
I just clearing out my mom's house, I found my old tennis rackets.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's great. I took my youngest son, Liam, who's 10, and he wanted to go out, and we were hitting, and I'm like, man, I miss this. This is awesome.
So the photo you put up of Emily and your son, he's a big boy there. He's bred for football.
Yeah, we're working him. He's taller than me. He's going.
He's tall, Emily, and Emily's tall.
Yeah, he's I guess 5'11", almost 6 foot. He's got a size 13 shoe.
Oh wow!
And he's going into 8th grade. He's got to work on some foot speed. I'm dad, but I'm still coach.
Yeah.
So he's, he wants to play tight end in high school. We're realistic. He needs to get better. He needs to get a little stronger. He needs some more foot speed, or he's going to be a guard or tackle. But, he's, I have the option to take him to New Egypt if he wants. Coach Fuller, if you're listening, that's his call. But he's got a lot of friends in Pinelands that play football, and I'm going to let him choose because I totally think that there's value in competing with your friends in your community. So.
How about your younger son? You see football him too?
He's probably the most athletic of the three kids. He is a running back / wide receiver. He plays in a flag football league down here in Southern Ocean County, and I think he's got 74 touchdowns in his career, something like that. They keep the stats, which is pretty cool. So yeah, he's probably the most athletic.
Okay. Last question I've been asking, the soccer coaches, about, Pop Warner feeds the high schools better than, because soccer, if you go academy, sometimes you're not allowed to play, and it doesn't necessarily feed the better players play academy, but building a strong town club team to help feed the high schools. Do you find in New Egypt do you have that where you got a strong good Pop Warner program that that communicates well with you as the head coach at New Egypt?
We do. We have one of my assistant coaches, Bob Pomacalo, does a really nice job with their Pop Warner program. I think they were AYF Pop Warner. I think they've switched back and forth over the past couple of years just based on weight and numbers. It's a challenge. It's a really small town, and we actually, our Pop Warner program with the juniors now, I know that they won a championship and went down to Disney with the juniors that are there. But we have the ability to draw some kids from from McGuire, the Air Force Base, and Lakehurst and wherever. So we do have some kids that come over from there, but then when they get to high school, they leave. So our challenge is it's a little bit of a challenge because some schools like Pinelands and Barnegat down here in Asbury Park, they have middle school programs.
Yeah.
And when you're competing against middle school programs, it's tough. Number one, I'm recruiting the high school hallways, but I'm also recruiting, middle school kids when they're in 8th grade and trying to get them to come out for football. And with concussions and everything, moms and parents don't love football, and that it's a challenge. Luckily, I think success breeds success. So when you have a successful team and kids that have good experiences within your program, I think they'll want to play football because they see what a Friday night is in New Egypt, and they're going to want that experience.
Yeah. Do you invite the Pop Warner teams out on Friday night? Yeah.
We do have a Pop Warner night, which is pretty cool.
That's cool. That is. Yeah.
Yeah, we let them sit in the end zone, and I tell the Pop Warner kids, we want you in the locker room. We want you to be a part of our game day. I want them to see the experience. Yeah. I want them to grow up and say, I'm in 7th grade, but I want to do that. Yeah. So that's the goal.
It's funny you bring up, moms with the concussions. My nephew, he's only 2.5, but he's built big, and I said he's built like an offensive lineman for football. My sister, no way, he's never playing football.
Well, I got news for everybody, and you're a soccer guy, and you were actually, speaking of concussions, you were there the night that Emily got hurt. Yeah, and you're the one who texted me, and that was a scary night for us. And Emily went up to block a shot. I think it was against Brick Township. Yeah. You said it was a clean block, but she got called for a foul, and she came down on her head.
Everyone in the gym heard her head hit like that.
Yeah, and strangely enough, that she got cleared to go back in the game. Went back in the game, but afterwards, their coach and some of the parents alerted me, and you alerted me that she wasn't right. And we rushed her to the hospital, and she had a major concussion that she's recovered from, and there's all concussion guidelines and things put in place to help the athlete recover. And, I don't think it's any different than it ever was. I just think that we didn't diagnose them and we didn't treat them. Yeah. So I think just the availability of resources like impact testing and trainers and Aaron, like we talked about being cautious before, anytime that you're dealing with a head injury, and I got to be honest, Emily's probably not going to go on and play any college sport, but she's extremely academic. Mm-hmm. I think she's 3rd or 4th in her class, and I think right now she's got 5 AP classes complete, and she'll have 9 by the time she completes this year. You worry about head injuries, and you worry about the effect that it's going to have later in life. And being a coach and a parent, you kind of see both sides of it.
Yeah. So how is the state with the concussion protocol for football? Are they pretty tough with it and strict guidelines?
Being a coach, anytime the state's pretty good as far as guidelines. We have to take tests and get certified in concussions before we can coach. That's a free course, but Our trainer is unbelievable.
Mhm.
So we do impact testing and have baselines on all kids that are playing. And at the end of the day, it's high school sports and we're competitive and we want to win and it's my career on the line. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's also kids. They're kids.
Yeah.
And this is student athletes and they're students first. And we want, I tell I'm running a camp right now, and I tell my kids in high school, in 21, 22, 23 years, however long I've been coaching, I can't add that high. I tell my kids, I've been lucky enough to coach one kid who's played in the NFL. And that one kid has played for 3 or 4 games. So, I mean, we're worried about you on the next level more than we're worried about you athletically. We'll do everything that we can to help you get into college, but we want you to be successful, later in life. So we want you to be, we're going to be safe. If I think a kid has a concussion, I'm not playing them.
Yeah.
I'm not playing them.
It's like that board, you said you coached one kid, he played 3 or 4 games. That board that gets posted right when NFL season starts, how many kids play Pop Warner and high school, and how drastic the numbers dwindle and what your percentages really are to, make it.
It's crazy. And I am sure you see it in girls basketball on the Shore, which is probably the most dominant conference in probably you can debate the country as far as girls basketball.
Yeah.
You see people that put kids and parents that put expectations on success that I need to get a D1, D2, D3 scholarship. I would like to see that less, just because, listen, not that it's not important, and we're not all competitive because we are, but I think it's important that the experience that they go through. And if you're that athletic and you're that good, you're going to be found. No matter where you play for, no matter who you are, you're going to be found. It doesn't mean you don't work hard. It doesn't mean you don't go to camps. It doesn't mean you don't get noticed. But I've known plenty of players who got disappointed that they weren't D1 kids, and now they're more successful than I've ever seen anybody. So, when you're a young kid, my biggest advice is don't hinge yourself on success of being a D1 or D2, D3 kid. Just go out and have fun, enjoy your teammates, enjoy your classmates, enjoy the sport. You want to walk away loving the sport. You want to walk away loving competing, and you want to remember your friends, community, and your high school experience. Because it's not, you don't get it in club. You don't. No. And I got news for you. If you play D3 college football, you're probably not getting it there either.
My one of the basketball players graduated 2 years ago, playing D1 basketball, but she said that there's nothing like playing high school, being with your high school friends, playing high school basketball, being on the bus, going to away games, playing in front of the home crowd. And,
that's why I came back. That's why I got into coaching.
Yeah, that's one reason why I love covering, the high school level, because there's nothing like going into a gym, packed gym for a competitive, like St. Rose Manasquan basketball game, sold out, people squished in, and you got, a great, nail biter of a game.
It's unbelievable. And to see, it's fun to watch the athletes go on and compete at the next level too. All those girls, Shore Conference basketball is unbelievable.
Yeah. As I become close, I pick and choose who I'm, parents that I communicate with, ones that are harder on their kid, during the game. I'm not saying like hard where they're always screaming and stuff. Ones that, don't brag about their kid. I should say that, the ones that, when you talk to a parent, I think that she played good. No, she played all right. Those type of parents, because that's how I am with my niece. She's not playing top level. I say it. But I'm starting, the list is starting to grow of college, the girls that are, in the area that are playing, college basketball that I want to try to get to, watch them play at the next level.
Yeah.
So,
pretty cool.
Year to year, last year I only covered, I only went to like St. Rose and Manasquan games. This year, I branched out to the whole Shore. So it's going to be nice. I did go to that one New Egypt game. I'll get to another game. You had that, the one younger sister that was pretty good.
Yeah, we had Sarah Weber last year, who's playing up at Keene.
Okay.
Very good player, and she has a younger sister, Michaela, who's actually taller than her, but she plays point guard. Michaela's a very good athlete, great softball player, like unbelievable softball player. So probably more. I don't want to speak for her, but I would think that she's more of a softball player than a basketball player, and I don't mean that to diminish her her basketball talent at all. But every time I go on Facebook, I talk to her mom a lot, and the mom's showing videos of her cracking home runs over the summertime in softball, and I'm like, man, that's pretty good.
You had another player, guard. She had like 7 steals the game I was at.
Oh, probably Madeline Reuter, who was a soccer player, who's playing at
Makes
King's
sense.
College.
Makes sense. Soccer.
Yeah, those soccer players make excellent man-to-man defenders. We really just play man-to-man defense, and we play great defense.
I get the Jackson Memorial basketball coach jokes with me how I prefer my soccer players on the basketball court. It's just I could coaching soccer, I could tell right away on the court, and you could tell on defense. Offense, they're probably so offensively, but defense you could tell who plays soccer.
Yeah, just by footwork.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Thanks for joining me. And
I appreciate you having me, man. I was excited to be on. I love doing these things. You're the last one I'm doing. I'm not talking to anybody else until the season's over.
All right.
So, and the season starts tomorrow, so I'm excited to get going.
And I promise I'm going to get to a game this season.
I love it. That would be great.
2 seasons in a row. I'll get there this season.
That's awesome. And
with the shore conference soccer schedule, it's going to make it easier because I don't know if did you see the shore?
Are they doing back-to-back home and aways?
Yeah, basically there's a day in between.
Okay.
I get it stinks if if there's more than one good matchup. I should say 2 good matchups, because if there's 2 good matchups, you go to one the first day and then go to the next one the next day. But if there's more than 2, and then I looked at it, it looks like 3 or 4 divisions are playing the same dates, and the other 2 are different dates. So it'll be interesting. It just it just stinks that I like to see St. Rose support my school, but they're in a horrible division. Like it's really they're probably the Point Beach. I'll probably go to that. That'll probably be the only game that'd be a good game to go to. But some of these other divisions are killer. Like you could go, there's like 3 games that you probably in one division that you could see.
Yeah, and I know that we're I haven't looked because I'm so focused on football. Do they get started at the same time, or do they have a little bit more time built in?
They start the day after football.
Okay, so it's the same.
October. No, sorry. They start the Thursday. They start the day before you guys.
Okay, so they have the same.
Well, you guys play the 2nd, right?
Yeah, we're the second.
So soccer season starts the 1st.
Okay, so that's the same prep time.
Yeah. They
the reason I have no hair
shut down for 2 weeks, and
right.
But the coaches were telling me, their practices wasn't scrimmage. You weren't allowed to scrimmage. It was just basically conditioning and ball touches.
Yeah.
Talking to the coaches, they found it weird. They understood why it's being done, but then you got these kids going and playing club and academy. They're going to tournaments and stuff. I mean, that's what I think the most basketball
frustrating.
leagues.
Yeah.
So that
was frustrating to go. I mean, one part of me is like, I'm watching my daughter play a competitive game where it was legit high school basketball, and then you saw that happening, and you see all these club teams and AAU teams, and my running back's going to play AAU up in Monroe, and I'm checking in on him. How many points you scored tonight? And I'm like, yeah, but I still can't meet you yet. So it is what it is. I'm under the mentality that you can only worry about so much stuff. I'm going to worry about my kids. I'm going to worry about my program, and what happens with everything happens, and we're going to make the best of it, and we'll be ready to go regardless. I talked to NJ.com, Kevin Minnick, the reporter, and he asked me, he said, Coach, are you ready? I said, we've been ready since March, and we'll be ready. I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm not gonna sleep between now and October 2nd, but you don't sleep either. So
yeah, no, I don't. Hour here, hour there. So all right, Steve, thank you for joining me.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. You would probably be my only football coach.
I feel very appreciative of that. And if Doug Brusman doesn't listen, he's not getting a shirt.
No, Doug will definitely listen. And I'm actually interviewing Wes tomorrow.
Good old Coach Moore, good friend of mine. Please tell him I said hello.
He texted me last night, asked me if today was good, and I had the ocean coach, and then I told him I was interviewing you later on, and he said, how about tomorrow morning? And I said that works because I'm off tonight, so that's
Yeah, well, tell myself hello. He's a good. We spent a lot of time teaching together. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I look forward to, and
Cool.
let's see. I saw Morgan play actually in the Good Sports League.
Awesome.
Very good goalie.
Yeah, she's a good. From what I see, I'm too busy to catch girls soccer during the football season, but I catch what Doug's posting and what she's doing on Twitter.
She's actually pretty good on the field too.
Is she?
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
So
Well,
I have watching
great.
Manchester in that Good Sports League. I told him at the end of the game, I was like, she might be on the field most of the season, not goalie.
Really?
Because I think they have 2 younger goalies, and they need help on the field. So
okay.
So see what happens.
Coach Moore will do a good job. He'll do what's right. He's a good coach.
Yeah, I'll talk to Coach Moore about it tomorrow. Bring that up.
Cool.
So all right, Steve. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a great night.
You too, bud.
Talk to you soon.